everybody, and welcome to another board game review and gameplay demo. Today's game is all about the money. That's right, we are heading straight to Wall Street to try to make as much money as possible, and along the way we're going to be doing just a little bit of insider trading. The game itself is Stockpile. Stockpile is a really fun game that takes only about an hour total to play and learn. It plays between 2 and 5 people, and it has a lot of different finance mechanics to it. We've got an auction system, we've got stocks that we're purchasing, we've got different stock prices that fluctuate up and down, and we also have secret and public information about which direction certain stock prices are going to be going during a specific round. It is a lot of fun. I can't wait to get more into detail with it, so we're going to get right on ahead and start with what this game is similar to. Regarding similarities for Stockpile, there were 3 main games I wanted to mention. First and foremost is Tesla versus Edison. It has a similar sort of stock manipulation mechanic that affects how much you're making throughout the game. Now the thing is, obviously Stockpile is only about that mechanic, whereas Tesla versus Edison has a lot more going on with it. The second game that I wanted to mention is Acquire. Acquire is the tile building game where you're actually physically building up companies, and at the same time you're purchasing stock in them, and then you're performing takeovers, and you can either exchange or sell stock at that time. Now obviously that is very, very similar to Stockpile in terms of, again, you are purchasing stock, you're going to be selling stock, you've got bonuses related to the people who have the most stock in specific companies, and all of that kind of thing. The biggest difference with Stockpile is you don't have the physical manifestations of the companies. Rather, you're just sort of looking at the so-called like ticker tape type of thing. The last game that I wanted to mention is Panic on Wall Street. The sole reason being that it is, again, about Wall Street. Now, Panic on Wall Street is different in terms of you got 2 separate teams where you've got the buyers and then you've got the sellers, but at the same time you have a similar stock manipulation track, and you're tracking the prices of the different stocks, or in this case the different buildings and things of that nature in Panic on Wall Street, whereas in Stockpile it's solely about the stock of companies. But they are very, very similar in that sense. Stockpile is a lot less chaotic, which makes it nice for a lot of reasons, but with those 3 games you've got sort of the idea of what you're going to be getting with Stockpile. Again, Stockpile itself, relatively simple mechanics, very, very easy to learn, and relatively quick to play as well, and it has some really, really good hidden and public information regarding which way all of the stocks are going to go. But with that, we're going to jump right on ahead into how to play Stockpile. Alright everybody, we are pretty much all set up and ready to start playing some Stockpile. I've got the game set up for 3 players. Each player will receive a player board along with the corresponding meeple to do some bidding later on. They will also receive $20,000. Now, for the central board, we've got a couple of key features. We've got the round marker up here, in this case starting at number 7 because we've got 3 players, and then all of the stocks will start at 5, the darkened circle in the middle, and obviously we'll be going up and down from there. In addition, on the central board down here, this is where we'll have our stockpiles, hence the name of the game. This is where we'll be putting cards that we'll be bidding on later on, and the financial forecast will show public information of what one company will be doing, if it'll be going up, down, or paying out dividends. In addition, near the board, we've got all of our money for when we're selling off stocks, and then we've got our forecast cards. So there are 2 parts of a forecast card. We've got the companies, and then we've got the actual forecast, the direction that the company's stock is going to move in. Now again, I'll be going over exactly how these work in just a little bit. Lastly, we've got the market cards. These are the cards that we'll be putting onto the stockpiles that we will be bidding on later in the game. There are 3 major types of market cards. The first one are these stock cards. These are the ones that indicate that you have ownership of one of the individual companies, either Cosmic Computer, Bottom Line Bank, Leading Laboratories, American Automotive, Stanford Steel, or Epic Electric. And these will be placed on your player board face down, okay, once you get them, so that people don't know what stocks you have. Next, one of the other types of cards are these, the trading fees. If you get one of these in your stockpile, then in addition to any money that you bet in order to get it, or the money that you paid in order to get the privilege of getting it, you'll have to pay the trading fees as well, and these range from $1,000 to $3,000. Lastly, there are two action cards that you're able to get, either the stock boom or the stock bust. And these will allow you to move an individual stock either up or down by 2, depending on which one you get. And that is a phase that comes later on in the game. Okay, so those are the market cards. Those are just all the cards. Like I said, it's a very simple game. And so what I'm going to do now is I'll go over the components for the players first off. So on the player board, we've got two main sections. We've got essentially the left stock portfolio and then the right split stock portfolio. The way this works is as you're collecting stock cards, then you'll take them and place them face down in your stock portfolio. Now, again, that's hidden information. Nobody knows you have it. When a stock split occurs, which means that the counter or this indicator goes all the way up here. So from 10 to this split icon, this will move back down to 6, and then any stock you have in that company, for example, Cosmic Computer, which I don't have, will go over to the split stocks, and it now counts as 2. In other words, if you sell that at a price of 6, you'll get 12 instead of just 6, right? Easy enough, yeah? By the same token, if a company goes all the way to this side, to the little trash can, that means it's bankrupt, and it will reset back to 5, and any stock that anybody owns gets thrown away. It gets discarded, and you don't get any money for it, which is not good, obviously. Right? Lastly, on the player mats, they also indicate the individual turn phases, or the round phases. We start off with the information, and then supply, demand, action, selling, and movement. And I'll go over each of those before I actually play through them, so don't worry. Lastly, they've got the forecast values. These just indicate what these individual cards are. There are 3 cards that take the stocks up and 2 that take it down, and then there's also 1 that will pay out dividends. So in other words, if you see that there are 2 that are going down, if you see both of these, you know the rest of the companies are either going to go up or pay out. So you might not want to sell those this round. Alright, so going over the individual phases of each round. First is the information phase. That's when these cards are passed out. Each player will receive 1 company card and then 1 forecast card. And it will essentially say that company will do this, that stock will do this. In addition, there's going to be 1 that's face up so that everybody knows, and then in our case 2 that are face down because we've only got 3 players. If we had 5 players, then each player would get 1 of these along with the forecast card, and then we just have the one that's face up. So this is sort of the insider trading, also known as the Martha Stewart phase of this particular game, where you know about a single company for certain, and then everybody knows about another company for certain. So everybody knows about one, and then well, everybody individually knows one, and then everybody also collectively knows another one that is shared amongst them. After that is the supply phase, which is where we stack up all of the individual stockpiles that we put down here. So this is where we will be putting the market cards. And again, these are the stocks, these are the action cards, and those trading fees. And what will happen is we'll flip up 1 for each to start building up that particular stockpile. Each player will get 2 of the market cards and put 1 card face up and 1 card face down. They can put it on a single stockpile, they can put it on 2 stockpiles, doesn't matter. Just as long as 1 card is face down and 1 card is face up. That's the only rule for it. And the idea here being that you either want to make a stockpile that's really good that you're going to be bidding on and really want, or you can make one that's kind of meh and try to pawn it off on somebody else. After the supply phase is the demand phase. This is where we start bidding. In order to bid, the first player will start and take their meeple and put it on how much they bid for an individual stockpile. And you can bid either 0, you can start anywhere, but you can bid 0, 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, 20, or $25,000. And as you go on, people can outbid you. So if I bid on the 0, then yellow can come and bid on the 6. And then in order to get it, I would have to go on the 10. You can't match a bid, and you also can't underbid. You have to beat it. So if somebody goes on the 25, nobody else is going to get that. It's a guarantee for you, but you have to pay $25,000 in order to get that stockpile. So it better be worth it. After the demand phase is the action phase, and this is where, if you've got them, you will play the stock boom or stock bust cards in order to manipulate any of the stocks up or down, again depending on which of those cards you've got. After that is the selling phase. During the selling phase, you can take stocks from your stock portfolio and sell them for whatever the current value is. So for example, if I had a Cosmic Computer, I could sell it for 5. If this one is up here, and I had a bottom line bank, I could sell a single one for 8,000, and it would just go into the discard pile from the market cards. Okay? That's the selling phase. Lastly is the movement phase. This is when everybody reveals their financial forecast cards and we move the stocks as appropriate, and typically just going down the line here. And again, this is where we look out for if a company goes bankrupt and everybody gets rid of all their stock, or if a company splits and we get to have that double amount. Right? So I'm just going to play through a round real quick so that you guys can see how it goes, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of variants that this game has as well. Right? So the first thing that we got to do to finish setting up is we take one of each of the 6 stocks, we shuffle them up, and each player gets 1. Okay? So each player starts off with some kind of a stock portfolio. So this guy starts off with Bottom Line Bank, they get American Automotive, and Leading Laboratories over there. After that, these cards are all taken back and shuffled into the deck. I'm not going to shuffle them, I just put them on the bottom, since this is just a demo for you guys. Next up is the information phase. So like I said, everybody gets a company, and then we get a face-up company, and lastly we have 2 face-down unknowns. And then everybody gets a forecast card. We get a face-up for Leading Laboratories. Ooh, +4, that's pretty awesome. And then those 2. So this person has Epic Electric going up by 2, right? So let's think about what we know. So we know that the forecast values are +4, +2, and +1. There's the +4, here's the +2. So blue, as a player, with their inside information, knows that there's only one other company whose stock is going to increase. There's also one company who's going to pay dividends. But other than that, the other 2 are going to go down. So that's the kind of thinking that you have to start having with this. And in this case, yellow knows that Cosmic Computer is going to be going up by 1. Red knows that Stanford Steel is going down by 2, and then obviously those 2 are unknown to everybody. So again, that's the kind of thought process that you need to have when you start playing this game. Now we start off with the supply, where we start piling up our stockpiles. So we start off by having 1, 2, and 3. Oh, that's a good start. Okay, so we've got trading fees, we've got a stock bust and a stock boom. Each player then gets 2 cards so that they can place them as they see fit. Blue goes first. So again, blue knows that Leading Laboratories is going up by 4 and Epic Electric is going up by 2. They got Cosmic Computer and Stanford Steel, so they'll take the Stanford Steel, put it face down, and then Cosmic Computer, put it face up right there. Next, we've got more trading fees in the bottom line bank. So trading fees go face down and bottom line bank goes up right there. And then 2 bottom line banks. So we'll do face down and a face up. Okay? And again, during this phase, during the supply phase, you can do it however you want. Again, you can put both of your cards on a single one. You can split them. Obviously, I split them all so they're all even. And now we go into the bidding phase, the demand phase. And this is where we take our person and we bid on whichever one we want. So this person's going to go on the 0 right there. Then it's yellow's turn. They're going to say, I'm going to pay 6 for that because that's pretty good. So then blue will go over here and take that. This person doesn't want the trading fees, so they'll go 3, and they'll say 6, and then they'll say, fine, I'll eat the trading fees. So what this means is that blue has to pay 6, yellow also has to pay 6, and red pays nothing to actually get the cards. So red gets the cards and has to pay 5 in trading fees, which is just tragic. So there's 5 for the trading fees, and they got a stock. Okay, and then blue's gonna go and get theirs, and they got their 2 stocks, and then they have their action card that they'll get to use in just a little bit. Lastly, yellow gets to go, and they get their 2 stocks, and then they have their action card. So that's the end of the demand phase. Now it's the action, starting with the first player, stock bust. So that means that we get to pick which one is going to go bust. Now this person happens to have 3 bottom line banks. So they don't want bottom line bank to go down. So they'll just pick some other random one. They'll just go with, I don't know, say Cosmic Computer and send that down too. So that's their action. And then the stock, boom, goes up by 2. They know Stanford Steel is going down by 2. They don't really care. They know Leading Laboratories is going up by 4. And they have a Leading Laboratory. So they're going to crank that up. Right? So that's the end of the action phase. Next is the selling phase, actually. So with the selling phase, this is where people can choose whether or not they want to sell particular stocks. So blue has 3 bottom line banks, and they're feeling pretty good about it. It should be okay. Let's see here. You know, Cosmic Computer's going up by 1. And they're pretty okay with it. Everybody's okay. So this is the time where, for example, if I wanted to sell a bottom line bank, I'd sell it and I get 5,000 because it's on the 5. That's how this portion works. And again, if I had a Leading Laboratory, I could sell it and I'd get 7 out of it, which would be kind of nice. But now it is time for the movement. So everybody reveals their forecast cards and the stocks are manipulated as appropriate. So take these 2 and these 2. All right, so starting off with Epic Electric, we'll just go over here. So that goes up by 2. Cosmic Computer goes up by 1. Stanford Steel goes down by 2. Leading Laboratory goes up by 4. 1, 2, 3. Yay! So Leading Laboratory stock splits. So players reveal any stock that they have in Leading Laboratories. This person has 1. They say, I've got 1, and it goes into their split stock now. So that means that this particular stock is worth 2 if they ever decide to sell it. Okay? And then American Automotive goes down by 3. And Bottom Line Bank pays dividends. The way that the dividends work is for every stock that you have of Bottom Line Bank, you'll get $2,000. So in this case, blue has 3 of them, so they get 6. And again, and at this point you have to reveal that you have the stocks. You have to say, I've got 3, so I get 6. This person has none in bottom line. This person has 1 in bottom line, so they'll get 2. And just like with selling the stocks, if you have one that's double, if you have a split stock, then it's also worth double for the dividends as well. So it'll go up. Right? Everybody takes their meeples back. And that's it. We reset the round by sending back the information. And then we start up again. And that's pretty much it. That is the way that you play Stockpile. You can see how chaotic it can become, especially with the stock booms and busts, sort of give and take on anything at any one time. Things can go bankrupt or split in a single turn. It's really pretty chaotic, but it's a lot of fun. It's a really great game. And like I said, now I'm going to talk about a couple, especially of the end game rules, so that you guys can see what all happens. When the game ends, when we're at the end of the round, so in this case we would have gone down to 6, after we go all the way down here and we finish the final round, then everybody counts up their stocks. Right? For every individual company, we count up the number of stocks that people have, and if you have the most, then you get a $10,000 bonus. So if you have the most Cosmic Computers, you get 10,000, etc., etc. Doesn't matter if it was just bankrupt, nothing like that makes any difference. Whoever has the most will get that $10,000 bonus. And again, if you've got split stocks, those count as 2. So if I'm like this, where I've got 2 regular and 1 split, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So that is a bonus that you cannot ignore. You want to make sure that you try to get that towards the end of the game. And again, the split stocks also count for the dividends as well. But essentially, at the end of the game, it's just whoever has the most money wins. That's pretty much what it boils down to. Right? And then you also get money for each individual stock you have. Now, what I wanted to do is talk about a couple of variants that this particular game has. There's 2 major ones that I wanted to mention. The first one is actually on the board itself. It's on the back. Right? So you can see that this alters how the individual companies work. So everything still starts at a value of 5, but the way that they move up and down is vastly different. Some of them are much shorter, some of them are much longer, and some of them change how the dividends go. So in the case of Stanford Steel, for each of these money signs that are on this board, that increases the dividends by $1,000. So if you're on, say, this 5, so going from this 5 to this 5, this adds 2,000 to each dividend that you get. So it doubles the dividends that you receive, essentially, right? And you just count up how far up you are, essentially. Right? And then the other ones are just alterations to the overall price. So you can see here American Automotive goes all the way up to 13 instead of stopping at 10, but it also goes down much faster, you know, stuff like that. So this is the advanced version where it just changes how you might want to go into each individual company, or if you might want to avoid a company altogether because it's just too volatile, right? So it's kind of a cool thing. It's a very unique and interesting way to change up how the game is played. The other main variant that I wanted to mention to you guys is this one. It's the investor cards. These are essentially role cards that give you individual powers while you're playing Stockpile. And it's kind of funny because all of these are based off of really famous, like Wall Street and Silicon Valley millionaires and billionaires and all that kind of stuff. Like, for example, I bet you can't guess who Discount Donald is based off of, or one of my personal favorites is the Billionaire Bill, or May know Martha. You don't know. She might know. You don't know. But these are kind of cool. They adjust the amount of starting cash that you have. Normally you start with 20,000. These will adjust it either up or down to sort of balance out whatever ability that you get. For example, Mayno Martha is able to look at hidden forecast cards. She can either look at one that's hidden to everybody, or she can pick another player's forecast cards and look at those so she knows what's going on. Billionaire Bill, he doesn't actually get a power. He just starts with a lot more money than everybody else. Broker Bernie, instead of paying the trading fees, he actually gets the money. So instead of paying 3, he gets 3, for example. Wise Warren is able to look at all of the hidden market cards in an individual stockpile. Excuse me. Golden Graham will receive an extra $1,000 whenever he sells any stock. Dividend Deborah is able to select an additional company that will pay out dividends for $1,000 per stock, and this benefits all the players. It's not just her, so everybody gets to do it. Maverick Mark is able to move a single card from one stockpile to another, including completely emptying out a single stockpile if it's relevant. Crazy Kramer is able to, during the action phase, move a single card or move a single marker either up or down. Secretive Stewart is able to put both of his market cards face down instead of one face down and one face up. And last but not least, Discount Donald is exactly that. He doesn't have to pay what he bids. So if you bid $15,000 for a single stockpile, you actually pay 10. You pay whatever the next lowest value is on it. So this sort of throws a little bit of a wrench into the whole thing. It's kind of cool. It's a really nice modular mechanic, and again, along with the advanced board, means that you've got a lot of really nice versatility with this game. I also wanted to briefly mention the 2-player variant. There are 2 colors, red and blue, that have 2 meeples, so you'll be bidding on a total of 4 stockpiles, and so each person will be getting 2 every round. In addition, you start with more money, and if you're playing with the investor cards, you also start with 2 investor cards, and stuff like that. So you can play with 2. I've personally never done it, but it seems like it would probably work. It seems like it would still be a pretty fun game because you get more information, you get more of the forecast cards, and all that kind of stuff as well. Essentially, you're both playing as 2 individual players. But that's it for my little demo for how to play Stockpile. I hope that you enjoyed it. Like I said, it's a pretty simple, relatively easy to play game. And with that, we're going to go right on ahead and I'll talk about some general conclusions about the game as well as some pros and cons. So that's it for my demonstration of how to play Stockpile. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, it's a really fun game, and I love the fact that we've got some modularity and all of that kind of stuff with it. But suffice to say, we're going to be talking about the pros and cons for this. First and foremost, my biggest pro for this is that it is an excellent example of what a stock manipulation and stock trading game can be. So many times a game like this that has like the auction aspect and stock manipulation and trading and buying and selling and all that kind of stuff can get so complicated so quickly. I love the fact that Stockpile simplifies everything, gets it into a nice little package, and has a great mixture of both known and unknown information, or more importantly, information that is not known to you but is known to one or more other players. Very, very exciting, and I love that aspect for this game. Second biggest pro for this game is I love the versatility on it. This is a great game to play with multiple numbers of players. Depending on how many you have, you've got the round numbers changing to accommodate having fewer or more players. You've got the bidding portions open so that you've got more cards available throughout the game. All of that kind of stuff. It balances itself very well, and it's nice because the changes you make are very, very simple, which is so helpful when you're trying to set the game up. And finally, the last major pro that I wanted to talk about is the expandability and those modules that I mentioned. We've got the investors, the different roles that you can pick, which are great because you either just get a whole bunch of money or you get some kind of power that you can use every round. And the great thing about them is none of them are really game breaking. You don't have anything that is distinctly better than the others, whereas in other games with certain roles, you do have that specific or several specific roles that are clearly overpowered. It's nice because there is a good balance there. And on top of that, using the advanced board, the other side of the main board, is great because, again, you get a completely different gameplay feel because you've got different dividends paying out, you've got different values of the stocks, you've got faster or slower abilities to go around the bend, so to speak, and double up your stocks, all that kind of stuff. And it just makes for a lot more versatility, which I love to see in games. And again, it's changes that are relatively simple in terms of how the game itself is altered during gameplay. Now, for the cons, there are two that I wanted to talk about, and both of them are relatively minor. The first one, and the most major one, is that just like in Wall Street, it's very easy for you to be completely knocked out relatively early. If you get really unlucky with a -4 or a -4 and then a -1 or whatever it happens to be, then you can be essentially out of the game from the very beginning because you'll be losing money, you'll have no stock to be able to sell, and all this kind of stuff, and everything just can sort of work against you. That's what happened to me the very first time I played, and it was really unfortunate. It meant that I still had a really fun time. I really did like that, but at the same time, it was a little bit frustrating, obviously, because I knew I wasn't going to win. I knew I was really far behind, but I still enjoyed playing it anyway. The second con that I wanted to mention is this, like many games, can have a problem with analysis paralysis, where you're just sitting there and just thinking about exactly what's the right move. With this one particularly, since you've got the hidden information of what one stock is going to be doing, then it can sometimes take a person a while to pick where their cards are going to go. Now, at the same time, this is sort of the other side of the coin on a pro as well, where there tends to be less downtime in this game compared to other stock and auction type of games. So for example, something like Power Grid or Nikola or Tesla versus Edison, where you can spend a lot more time thinking because you've got so many different things going on. In Stockpile, there's less going on, but at the same time, you still can have the people who are sitting there and just think, and you know, you're just sort of like, okay, let's just move it forward. But by and large, compared to other games of the style, there is a lot less analysis paralysis in Stockpile. So with that, for some final conclusions, quite simply, I love this game. I really enjoy it. Finance games and games that are solely about money and building and that kind of things are generally not ones that I really go for, but Stockpile is really fun. Again, I love that they kept it relatively lighthearted. They kept the game itself pretty lightweight. It's easy for newer players to play. Again, you've got some issues as far as you can be knocked out early and things like that, but in general, that's not going to happen, and you're still going to have a a really fun time. I like that they kept it with a light feel in terms of almost cartoonish art, which is nice to see. They didn't go like super serious and dark and stuff like that. And so overall, it's just a very, very fun and very well done and balanced game. I really enjoy it. I hope that you will as well. If you haven't done so already, please give it a try. Stockpile, very, very fun. Very good example of what you can do with a stock manipulation game. With that, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.
Thank you so much again, everybody, for watching my board game review and gameplay demo for Stockpile. This is a really, really fun Wall Street insider trading game, and I hope that you guys really enjoy it. As always, please let me know any and all thoughts in the comments below, whether it's what you think about this game or games like it, and also if there are any games you'd like to see me review in the future as well. As always, I've got several of my playlists linked up at the top of the page so you can see some more of my work, and if you want, you can click on that big giant subscribe button so that you can see more of me in the future. With that, thank you very much again for watching, and I will see you next time.